Good evening, PHP fanatics. This is Roland again, and I'm back for another PHP tutorial. In the last video, I have shown you how to connect to a MySQL database using PHP, and then selecting some records and outputting them into an HTML page. Today, what I'm gonna show you is how to insert a record into a PHP database. So let's start by discussing how we did that in the past video. In the past video, I have shown you that you have to initialize your variables like this, dollar and variable name, and then you assign the string variable here like this. However, you can do it in another way. Since the login credentials, which is composed of your server name, your username for the database, and your password and the database name should be values that should not change, it is better that we define them as constants. Constant variables do not change. It is important that we do it that way because we may accidentally change the values of our login credentials somewhere in our code. Then when we need to make a connection again to the database, we cannot connect anymore, or we generate an error because we have changed the values that should have been constant or does not change in the first place. So how do we do it? We use the define keyword of PHP, and then uh, enclose it in quotation marks like this, and assign. No, we don't need the dollar symbol anymore. We just type our variable name without the dollar symbol, then comma, and then we put that in single quotes like this, and then also we put in single quotes the string variable that we want to pass. Okay, so we do it for all the login variables that we have to define in order to connect to our database. I'll just copy this one and then assign the username dbuser, which is root in our case, and then the db password. For my local server, I don't use any password, so I just delete this value, and then the db name. In our example, I have used the php underscore chat database. Okay, after that, we connect to the database. We'll just go past here because we have already covered this one in our previous video. So we use mysqli underscore connect and pass our constant variables. And then the db name. Okay, so if we shall try this here in my local host. If we don't generate any error, then our code is correct. Okay, as you can see, we don't have any error here. So after establishing our connection variable, we now create the SQL statement for passing the values that we want to insert into the database. So here we can say $SQL. Let's name it as $SQL for our variable. Then we create an insert statement. Insert into. This is the SQL statement for that. Insert into, and then we put the name of the table, which is users, Actually, you can do it both all caps lock or both caps lock and small caps. Users, and then we enclose in brackets the field names that we want to put data into. So let's check it again. What are our values here? So we have user ID, nickname, and email. For the user ID, we may omit this in our SQL statement because this is a primary key and an auto increment key. So values for this would be automatically created or included. So we put nickname, comma, email. And then after that, uh, so these are the field names that you want. Then we assign the values for that field name. We put it in brackets again. For example, we assign the value Richard, and email is richie@yahoo.com. And then we put a semicolon here. Don't forget to put your single quotes. Then after that, let's test our SQL statement, echo underscore SQL. Okay, let's see if we got it right. Okay, we have an error. Line 20. Oh, sorry, we can remove this one. HTML body. Okay, let's check what's causing the error here. Unexpected end of file in line 20. Why? We have a closing tag here. Okay. Echo SQL. Why is this big? Insert into. Oh, I forgot the closing double quotes here. Oh, okay, that made it right. Let's save this. Okay, no more errors. So we got our SQL string here. Okay, we can remove this echo. It's just for testing. Then we can go on uh, running our query statement. So we can have an if statement so that when the insert query is successful, a message that would say that new record was created successfully or something to that effect. Or we can MySQL would pass an error that we would be able to see in our browser. So we can go if MySQL query so can have an else here. If MySQL is true or there's a value here, that's the purpose of this line here, to test if MySQL was able to execute the query. So in order for us to do that, let's pass the connection variable, comma, and then our SQL variable. Okay, and then we can go on echoing our message that a new record was successfully inserted. into database. Okay, and then here we can output an echo for error. Echo, we can say mysqli underscore error, so that we would know what is our error. And then we have dollar for the connection. Okay, that's it. I think we got it right. Okay, let's test this one. Parse error. Unexpected SQL bar expecting or in line 18. Let's check that. Line 18. Echo error. Okay, I forgot the dot here. Okay, we got it right. New record was successfully inserted into the database. So that's how we output a record into the database. Let's check our PHP myadmin to check if we were able to successfully create the new record. So we got here in the last part, the user ID was automatically created for us. We got 9 here, which is uh, auto incremented from 8. And then we have our nickname Richard and our email richie@yahoo.com. So we got it right. So for us to review, what we first created was to initialize our variables, our constant variables, use those variables to as parameters for our connection string using mysql underscore connect or mysqli underscore connect, and then create an SQL insert statement and pass it again to another variable which we call $SQL, and then we execute the query through mysqli underscore query and pass the connection string and the SQL string here, and then we put that inside an if statement so that if there is an error, we would see the message here, and if it's successfully inserted into the database, we see also a message saying to us that the record was inserted successfully. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching.